Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ryan with Mountains into Memories, and this is our new 2021 Ram 2500 that we've had it for a couple months now, and we've really enjoyed it. So if you want to know more about that, we have two other videos detailing what we've done to the truck, and they're in our RV truck and technical playlist. And so check out that playlist because there's a lot of good tips and tricks and hacks in there. But in today's video, we're going to talk about tire pressure monitors, specifically the ones that go with the trailer that came with our Ram trucks with the integrated trailer pressure monitoring system. And it's a really handy system, and so we're going to show you how it works. So stay tuned, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button because there's more tips and tricks that relate to the Ram truck and towing a trailer coming in the future. Friends, I can't overstate enough how important it is to monitor the pressure of the tires of your trailer. Blowouts, it's not only the tire that's bad, it causes a ton of damage to the trailer itself, the wheel wells and all that stuff. It's just not built to withstand that kind of explosion. And so we believe that it's extremely important to have tire pressure monitors for your trailer, especially if you plan to keep the tires that generally come stock with these travel trailers. Generally, they're not very good. And so monitoring the pressure that your tires are at is extremely important as you're going down the road. You know, if the pressure gets too low, the tires could get hot and cause a blowout. So for the first little while that we had the trailer, we did without. And when we ordered this new truck, we made sure that it came with the sensors. And I wanted it to be integrated into the truck. That way it was much more seamless and clean. I don't like having a lot of cords and items on the dash dangling all over the place. Things that you got to remember, things to set up, things that could go wrong. And so we ordered the truck with the sensors. So this video poses a bit of an editing challenge. Somehow, I know I filmed certain things and the footage has either gone missing or the GoPro malfunctioned or however this occurred. We're going to try to talk you through this and show you the footage that I do have and hopefully present it in a way that makes sense. So let's start at the beginning. Okay, so friends, these are our tires. We've got these old Castle Rocks, and we intend to replace them in the spring. And we're now looking at the idea of replacing both the wheels and the tires because these Ram tire pressure monitors in the instructions, which I'll show you, they don't want the valve stem to stick out past the rim. And my assumption is that that's because the rim helps protect your valve stem. So like if you was to brush up against a curb or something, the rim would hit first and not your valve stem, and then you wouldn't lose all the air in your tire. But we went ahead and installed them anyway because with these Castle Rocks, I think monitoring the tire pressure from the cab of the truck was the most important thing because these are on their second season and most people don't get even that much out of them. So we went ahead and installed them. You know, if you choose to not follow the directions, it becomes your responsibility. So that's just all I've got to say about that. Okay, everybody, so here's what we're doing. These are the instructions provided with the kit. You basically remove the nut, place valve stem sensor in there with it flat on the tire like so, or flat on the wheel like so in step 2, and screw the nut on while holding that down, and then you torque it 5.9 foot-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low, so we're just tightening it, you know, not very much. You basically just want it snug on there so that it doesn't leak air, but you don't want to get it too tight because you're going to break it. It's got a gasket, you know, that holds the air in, so you really just want that gasket to be compressed. We've had a little bit of issue with this. There's several reasons why. One is they don't want your new valve stem, this is the original one, to extend past the the rim here. Well, of course, these valve stems are longer, and so they do. I kind of feel like go with what you got type of situation. Right now, we can't get wheels and tires, so we're just going to wait a little bit. But as you know, obviously the first steps was to jack up the trailer, and you know, we did it underneath the leaf springs. There's various philosophies on how to do that. Make sure you chock the wheels of the trailer so it doesn't roll away when you're doing this. You know, follow the owner's manual for the trailer in order to get the wheels off the ground correctly. And so you take your, you know, your whole wheel and tire off. And one of the only tools you need for this project that's specialty is a valve stem remover. So whenever you have your tire off, you insert this top part here. You know, it would go in here like so, and then you would just unscrew the valve stem. That's just going to deflate your tire extremely quickly and make sure that all the air is out of your tire. So you take your wheel and your tire off and you set it on the ground and you take the valve stem out, and so then it's deflated. On the side of the wheel where your valve stem is at, I used a pry bar and a screwdriver, and I think I have some footage of that I'm going to show you. And with the tire deflated, you can wedge that in between the tire and the wheel and basically pry it inward, and that's going to give you access to the valve stem. So I'm not sure you'll be able to see this or not, but that's what the inside of the valve stem looks like. And you just want to kind of cut that lobe off with a knife, but you want to be careful not to booger up the hole that it butts up against you, because that's what your gasket on your new valve stem needs to be in good shape for it to work and not leak. So just be careful, and then if you cut a good bit of that lobe off, you can just pull it out from the other side with a bit of strength. It's actually a lot easier than I anticipated. You know, I'd never messed with valve stems before, and it was way easier than I ever expected it to be. So then your next step after doing all that, the remote portion of this, you're going to have to hold it flat against the wheel while you're screwing this nut on, and it's a little bit difficult. So friends, I'm going to be the first to tell you, getting this in there is tricky, but you want it in just like this. And these tiny rims, I think, are kind of a hindrance. There's not a lot of width to them, and the tires don't help the cause either here. I'll try to film this, and the thing you really don't want to do is you do not want to lose this inside your tire because it's a pain to get out. So be very careful, keep it in your hands at all times. I really don't know how to tell you to do this in an easy way, but you got to get it through there, and you got to get it in so that this is facing downwards. So you want to make sure that when you're doing this, that you know, you always have some part of this whole mechanism in your hand at all times. You don't drop it. I lost 2 of them, and so like that was about an hour and a half or more of time that I lost just trying to find that inside the tire. And so really this whole project is fairly quick and easy and simple, assuming that you don't do that. Okay friends, do not drop the valve stem down inside the tire. You will pretty much waste a good half hour to 45 minutes of your life trying to figure out where it's at, get it in just the right position where you can grab it. You'll end up losing it a few times because you have to use your middle 2 fingers in order to reach it. Don't drop the valve stem inside the tire. But if I can show you here, this is how it should look on the inside. And you have to hold it tight against the rim and tighten this nut up here all at the same time. And that's the nut they want you to torque to, I think it's like 5.9 pound-feet. It's in your instructions. But yeah, I mean, you just want that snug on there. There's a rubber gasket, so it shouldn't leak or cause any problems. And we're doing this, I guess it's about a week before we leave on our trip. So we're going to be able to know if stuff starts leaking. And if something goes bad, I'm just going to take whatever tire is leaking to the tire shop and have them deal with it. But so you tighten this down and then you're good. You basically just start putting air in it and it should inflate. Then we'll have to program them to the truck, and I'll show you how to do that hopefully. So then once you get your valve stem inserted and torqued to the proper specs, your tire, is obviously not going to be pushed up against the rim like it would normally be when there was air in it. But as soon as you start putting air in here, it's going to start to inflate. And once you hear it pop, it should be pretty audible. I think I have some footage and some audio of it. Unfortunately, the air compressor turns on like right when it pops, but I'll show it to you. Once you hear that pop, you know that it's sealed up. And then you just air it up to the proper pressure, and you should be good to go. We've had these installed now for quite some time and have had absolutely no problems, no leaks. And so there's absolutely no reason in my mind where if you follow the instructions that you can't do this yourself. I'm not the handiest person in the world, and I've never done anything with valve stems before, and I was able to make this happen. So friends, programming this was actually really simple as well, and so I'll try to go over it with you. Hopefully you can see everything that I'm doing. So you go to settings. Apparently it does need to be in the run position. So you definitely need to set the vehicle to run. You can of course do this with the motor running, or if you don't put your foot on the brake and you hit the button twice, it'll get you there. And I don't know what it's beeping about. Let's see here. So you scroll down here to trailer brake. And you can see I have my travel trailer set up. It's under there as use this trailer, braking, light braking, and the tire pressure is in there. And so what you would do is go to set up all tires. But you can also replace a single tire, set target air pressure, which you'll do. I have mine set to 65 psi because that's the maximum on the sidewall of the tires, but it's also what's on the door sticker of the trailer. And what's on the door sticker of the trailer is going to be for the trailer at the max weight that you can have in the trailer. So as long as you're under that, always set it to the maximum cold PSI. And people get this confused an awful lot. It's really quite simple. Cold PSI is your PSI when your tires are cold. That means first thing in the morning, not been driven anywhere. If you've driven, your tire pressure is going to change because your tires heat up and your pressure increases. So cold PSI is before you drive it anywhere. So 65 PSI is before you drive it anywhere, and mine generally go up to about 72 PSI while I'm driving. So be aware of that. Like when you're driving down the road and there are a few PSI higher than the cold pressure rating, that's perfectly fine, and the tires are designed to hold that pressure when they're heated up. Now, if you go to tire pressure, you would go to set up all tires. So when you're setting up a new trailer, you pick how many axles you've got. So, you might have one, you might have two, or you might have three. We have two on that trailer and two on my dump trailer, but I don't have monitors for that. But, so your number of tires, I guess you could have a trailer with duals. I've never seen that before, but that could be the case. So, we just have 4 tires. And then you would go to next, and that allows you to enter your target pressure. We'll go with that just because that's what it is. And so what you do with this, right? Your tires have to be paired in the order shown. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's pretty simple, and it gives you the instructions right here. And so what you do is you start after you hit the start button, you'll start with that first tire, and you're going to lower that tire by 5 psi. Basically, you just go and you let some air out for, about 6-7 seconds, and that should give you about 5 psi, and then you stop, and then you wait, and the horn of the truck will chirp, and that means that tire's done. And then you go to the next tire and you do the same thing, and all you got to do is make sure you do it in the order of on your screen. So if you have more axles and more tires, obviously it's going to be a little bit different than this, but it will show you what you need to do. If I hit start, it's going to show me the tire that I'm on. And so friends, it's as simple as that. That's how you pair your monitors to your truck. Then as soon as you do that, and I'll show you some footage of going down the road too. When you have them paired, you just scroll down to trailer tow, and this is one of the screens, and when you're going down the road, it will show you where your tires are. It usually takes, I don't know, maybe a mile or so before they show up, which that's the only thing I don't like. I wish they'd show up sooner so you'd know if you had a problem right away, but that's just the way it is. If I'm leaving an RV park, generally by the time I get to the dump station, they show up. So that's soon enough for me. It's just when we're leaving the house that it's a problem. And lately I've been trying to check them before we leave. Anyway, this is just some other features that the Ram truck has in regards to trailer towing. This, when you're in tow haul mode, it keeps track of your trip. So we've towed 928.6 miles. Which is kind of cool. That's actually almost half of the mileage that we've driven this truck. And then you can set your trailer brake. This is a neat screen. It'll show you as you're hitting the brake pedal how much gain it's giving to the trailer. And then of course you can also use those buttons over there to move it up or down, and that's your emergency trailer brake switch. And the trailer light check is pretty neat also. I've used this several times, but you do have to be in park when you engage that. And then back to tire pressure, which is the most used screen that I use in regards to that. Friends, I hope you like this video. I hope it's informative. Definitely keep track of your tire pressure because you don't want to blow out. You know, I really like the Ram system here. How integrated it is. It works really well. I don't have any clutter on my dashboard, which is nice. Truly, it's about the same price as what you would pay for an aftermarket system, and it just works better in my opinion.